I can't believe this nigga actually dropped. So after making us wait an extra 3 hours, and then he said it was gonna come out at 3 a.m. It didn't. Then an hour later, it was like 4 a.m. He's like, any minute now. At that point, I went to bed.
You lie! You lying! Liar!
I'm not gonna lie to y'all. I went to bed around like 4:15. I'm like, fuck it, I'll just listen to the album in the morning. And lo and behold, in the morning when I woke up, the album dropped. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about IAMMUSIC. This is just gonna be some of my thoughts after maybe 2.5 listens. You know what I mean? I'll be listening to it more, you know, throughout the weekend, of course. But, you know, just want to give y'all some of my first reaction thoughts and what I liked, what I didn't like. So let's first get into what I liked. I like the beat selection on this album. I think that Carti continues to have a nice lane with the rager stuff that he got going on, some of the grunge stuff that he got going on. I think that that's a nice lane that he needs to honestly lean more into. And I would appreciate it if this album was a cool, like, 15, 16 tracks at most of just the real rager shit that Carti can make and Carti needs to make. You know, in order for it to have a concise album feel. This doesn't, when you listen to it, it doesn't really feel like an album. It just feels like a collection of tracks thrown together, which somebody may say, well, isn't that an album? Well, no. Normally albums have like a concise sound and a concise vision throughout the whole album, you know, and throughout the whole listen. You know what I mean? And this just seems more like a tape. You know, it just seems more like a collection of tracks that he kind of just made yesterday and threw together on an album, which is like, that's not how Whole Lotta Red felt. Whole Lotta Red felt like an actual album, and I really like Whole Lotta Red, and I think it did a lot for the lane that Carti was trying to create, and for other artists that are inspired by Carti. I think Whole Lotta Red did a lot for that vision. IAMMUSIC, not so much. Some of the tracks are really good. Me personally, I think Crank is very good. I think Good Credit with Kendrick Lamar is a very good track. I think that Crush is a good track. And actually, let me talk a little bit more about Crush, because it, you know, relates to the whole point that I'm trying to make, in the fact that this doesn't feel like an album, in which that the intro to the album is like a horrible intro. I don't know who told Carti this is the intro that you need to have to the album. Pop Out is a bad track. It does not put you in the right mood for what the rest of the album is going to be. The rest of the album does not sound like Pop Out. There are certain tracks in there that may have reminiscent elements and stuff like that, but the rest of the album does not sound like Pop Out, which is a weird, bad track to start your album off with. It was very confusing to listen to that and then listen to the rest of the album, which is much more atmospheric, I would describe it as, or it tries to be atmospheric. I would have started, if I was Carti's advisor, I start the album off with Crush. You started off with Crush, you cut a few tracks, I'm talking about a few, I mean more than a few. You cut a lot of tracks. You make this 15 tracks, you have a solid project in here. You have a very decent project in here if you cut out 10 to 12 songs. You know what I mean? And that's more of a product of the streaming era that we're in right now, in which we have to, in which artists are forced, you know, to boost their streaming numbers in order to gain more capital. And that's just, you know, it's kind of annoying that we're in that era. I feel like if Carti were an artist in like 2003, this album would be no more than like 15 tracks, and it wouldn't have dropped Friday at 7:30 in the morning. It would have dropped, you know, Tuesday. You know what I mean? Some more positives that I have about the album. I really like when Carti does like his different vocal inflections. I think that that's a lane that Carti needs to step more into and really embrace, right now it feels like he's just experimenting and there's no, clear plan. But if he just embraced that and really made that, his actual, signature style, I feel like that would be something that really, really, really sets him apart from the crowd. Right now, he has like a ton of hype and a ton of anticipation around like his albums and stuff like that. But this is something in his style and his vision, which would, offer up the fact that like, hey, I'm actually an actual artist, which I don't deny the fact that he's an actual artist, but it's more so about the fact like, hey, are you actually trying here? You know what I mean? Like, are you actually trying or are you not trying? You know what I mean? And this is coming from a guy that liked his experience with IAMMUSIC. I like the experience. I like IAMMUSIC, but it's not what it could have been had Carti had a clear, concise plan from the beginning. Do you understand what I'm saying? It's not what it could have been, and the second half of the album, really, I would say from Rather Lie on, because the first 10 tracks are kind of a slog to get through a little bit, but from Rather Lie on, you see what the album could have been. You know what I mean? You see like what Carti is going for, and it's just like, ugh.
Now I'm really mad.
You got carried away with some of the distractions and some of what. So you got carried away is my point. You got carried away from what the album could have been. Some of the features on this album are bad, like really bad. Travis Scott, I don't really know what he adds to a song anymore. I think that Travis is, at this point, his shtick is like kind of played out. You know what I mean? Like, he comes in, he does his little auto-tune thing, and it's not even more so like before, artists used to give Travis like his own like half of the song, and he would like kind of change the beat and stuff and make it a little bit more like, Travis like, he that's what it used to be. Now Travis just comes on the song, raps similarly to the way that the original artist is rapping, and adds not much to it because we know he's not that great of a lyricist. He kind of does his ad libs, he does his thing, and then he moves on. He's almost as bad as 21 Savage now. Almost. He's this close to being on my ban list for features. This close. Moving on. The best feature on this album, actually two of the best features on this album, Kendrick Lamar on Good Credit is fantastic. I'm probably going to feel different after a couple more listens. I'm probably going to be like, wow, like that was amazing. Like this was a great like album and stuff like that. But for right now, I'm just feeling a little, and my expectations weren't that high. You know what I mean? They weren't that high because they weren't that high for Whole Lotta Red, but Whole Lotta Red actually blew my socks off. It blew my socks off. Literally, my socks fell off. I think that IAMMUSIC is just not the same caliber of quality. It's just not the same quality as Whole Lotta Red. And I don't like to compare. I know that this is a new era and Carti's trying to do something new. But the thing about Carti's albums is he was always like trying something new, and you could kind of like see it. I think in this album, he didn't really try anything new here. He's just doing what he did in the past, but a little bit more. You know what I mean? That's kind of what he's doing here. But I had fun with the album. I did have fun with the album. Even though I'm a little bit disappointed, I did have fun with the album. I'm not gonna lie. I did have fun with the album. I did like it. I would probably rate it like a solid, like, I don't know, like 6 out of 10. 6 out of 10. Could have been an 8. Could have been an 8, but it's a 6. Because some of the tracks are really, 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 really good. Really, really, really good. You got Rather Lie, which is fantastic. You got Crush. I love Crush. He had some of the tracks that he dropped in the past year on YouTube on this album with Hood by Air. I have a question about Hood by Air, by the way. removed one of the best parts on Hood by Air? Question mark. What are you thinking? Just post the original track like everybody liked. Yeah. Oh, some other things. Uzi sucked on this album. He was terrible. Travis sucked. Future, better than them, but sucked. Skepta was great. That was a great feature that Skepta had. I love the verse that he had. I love that he came in like that. I don't really have much else to say. Kendrick was great. Carti, this should have been 15 tracks. First 10 tracks are slow to get through. First track sucks. I already said all that. Alright. If you have any more thoughts about this Carti album, if you disagree with me, if you think I'm so fucking stupid, let me know in the comment section. You know, tell your family and friends that I just made the worst video of all time and you absolutely hate me and you totally want me to commit the bad act that we all shouldn't commit. What else? Is that all I have to say? That's all I have to say. Yeah, solid 6 out of 10. Cool album, bro. Cool album. Not what it could have been. See y'all later.